I can't do that.
Not unless you want on here. Okay, good morning, everybody. So if I get sidetracked, my mom is sitting here staring at me. Okay, so my mom is sitting here staring at me, and she'll probably talk throughout this whole conscious coffee. No, she's just going to sit there and she's going to shake her head and mess around with her coffee and probably talk about watering the plant that just got watered last night. So, yeah. So if I seem a little off, that's exactly what's going on there. Hope everybody had a fantastic 4th and all that good stuff. I'm going to just jump right in because I'm going to try to make this conscious coffee a little bit shorter than what my normal conscious coffee is, just because I really am on center stage here. I am being looked at right now. It's like eyes on me. And even though your eyes might be on me, hey, good morning, Steve. Even though your eyes might be on me, it's different. It's completely different than having somebody sit across the table and stare at you and is there. So, but I thought, you know what? This is a good morning to just kind of do this. Let's just, I'm all about authentic and all about just in the moment and seeing what God brings to the table. So I thought I'm going to just title this being on stage. And because I realized this morning, first thing, I was like, yep, I'm going to be on stage because my mom's going to sit here and watch me do conscious coffee. And it brought up all this stuff for me. So, and you say, yeah, she's going to make like little funny comments about coffee. She's just sitting there and she's going, now, I should flip the phone around and like let her be on camera. That's what I should do. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not, because I'm a nice daughter. Yeah, I'm a nice daughter. Anyway, being on stage. I was thinking about all the emotion and the different ego things that were popping up for me as I contemplated doing just this and letting her sit here across the table from me and watch me do conscious coffee. And it kind of brought up insecurities for me, and it brought up I had insecurities as to her watching me do conscious coffee. I had insecurities as to what everybody on here would be thinking if she started blabbing or did something funny or what have you. I also knew that my presence level wasn't going to be quite as strong because I would consistently be feeling like a need to deal with something for her, or like be the hostess. So I'm in hostess mode, and I've only been awake for maybe 10 minutes, and I'm in hostess mode, and there was just a lot of with that anxiety feeling of that nervousness of what if she does something, what are you guys gonna think, what is she gonna think watching me, all this different stuff. I kind of felt like I was going on stage, and it kind of reminded me of when I was like in maybe 6th or 7th grade. I did a play, Les Miserables, and I remember that feeling of coming out on stage. And even though I didn't have big parts, because I was not the center stage person, I didn't have massive parts, there was still this nervousness of going out there on stage, and just this like butterflies and gut-wrenching, I'm going to throw up all over the place feeling. And then I had that this morning, and I'm going, oh my God, this is like conscious coffee. You've been doing this for, 9 months already, or something like that, 8-9 months. So what the heck is the problem? Why are you feeling all of this on your conscious coffee? This is like old hat. This is just a morning habit now. And it was all because of the feeling of going on stage, because I have her sitting here with me, and the energy that between the two of us, and then also the energy that I knew would then translate over to viewers. And it just got me to thinking about how often we live our lives on center stage. So we're constantly just kind of putting ourselves out there and giving this role to everything that we're doing. So we're not authentically being ourselves. We're not truly living in alignment to our hearts, to our souls, because we're trying to play these roles with everybody in our life. And what does that do? It causes us this tremendous anxiety, fear. She just belched. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, all right. I guess excuse her. Anyways, maybe this should be like comedy conscious coffee this morning. I don't know. Anyway, wow. On that note, I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Like I said, when we're on that stage, when we're putting ourselves in those roles, and we're trying to live according to somebody else's way, you know, all of their shoulds and coulds, and that you need tos and all this different stuff, and act a certain way and dress a certain way and be a certain way and do this and do that and all this different stuff. What it really does is it puts a lot of restriction on our relationship with people. It also puts a restriction on our relationship with resource, with God, because we're shutting ourselves down. We're not truly just being us. And we're, you know, if you have a tough time trying to make a decision as to what should I do in this scenario, what's the best option, probably because you're not being completely in alignment to yourself. And potentially one of those things that are blocking you is the fact that you might be playing a role. You might be playing a role. So to look and see where those roles are coming up, because yeah, we have lots of roles. I'm mom, I'm daughter, I'm friend, I'm lover, I'm sister, I'm coach, I'm this, I'm that. I'm all of these different things. But there isn't one of them that I'm acting different in necessarily. I am always just trying my hardest to just be myself at this point in my life, where I'm just always revealing me, no matter who is sitting across the table belching or making faces at me. It doesn't much matter, just to be yourself and realize that in that is where your true bliss is. In that is where your true strength is to just really tap into you and stop giving a shit about what everybody else thinks. But we don't do that. In general, we play these roles, and the wife looks a certain way, right? If you're a good wife, this is what a good wife looks like. And if you're a mother, well, moms dress this way, act this way, do this, do that, and that's what moms do. If you're a lover, well, there's different kinds of lovers. What kind of lover are you, right? With your partner, what kind of lover are you? Depending on how you've been brought up, depending on the shame that you're carrying, depending on the trauma that you're carrying, that's going to decide how you are also with your partner, with your lover, the employee, right? Or the business owner, whatever you might be there. What do you do for your career? There's certain attitudes and energies that you're going to present because of the career choice that you have made. So you're going to fit that role, right? So if you're a businessman, you probably feel compelled to wear a certain type of clothes depending on what your business is about. You probably have to, you know, there's lots of, I hear, what was it? A couple of years back, there's this woman that I know, and she is a big honcho in corporate America. She does I think like regional HR or something like that. She works with and her husband is a small business owner, and they kind of are like, they're very much stereotypical people as far as like trying to fit into that cookie cutter society as to how you need to look, act, be, what you drive, where you go on vacation, what you say, how you act, all this different stuff. So they are very, very much that. And went out on an evening couples date with them a few years ago down to see a concert, and we got into the back of an Uber, and of course they had to upscale the Uber to this, you know, like the black Uber or whatever. So we had the big fancy Escalade thing come in with the leather seats and all that different stuff, and they wanted to drink in there, and we had a couple cocktails in there, and they were like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We had to go to this certain restaurant, and we did all this different stuff, and we go down, and then, you know, so we're all dressed up, and I love dressing up, so there's nothing wrong with that. I clean up pretty well. I dress up pretty well, so I got all dressed up. We had fun. It was a great evening, and like the next night, we're out, and they at our little pub place, and we were sitting there, and we were talking, and they had come out as well. So we're sitting there, we're talking, and she looks at me, and she tells me how disgusting she finds tattoos, and that she would never, ever, as we were talking about doctors and stuff and professional lines, and she was telling me, she's like, oh my gosh, if my doctor had a tattoo, I would never let him touch my body. I think that they're absolutely disgusting. They're, you know, like, it's just completely impure, and I don't want anything impure touching my body. And I looked at her and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a tattoo. It's just somebody's, you know, they put a tattoo, you put a tattoo on your body to represent something. A lot of it is symbolic. My mom's not trying to talk through conscious coffee. And so, so if you see my hand go like this, I'm not telling you guys, just like that. I'm like, Mom, shut up. Okay. So she tells me that she finds like tattoos completely disgusting, impure. She would never let a doctor touch her body that had a tattoo. If she was working with an attorney and found that he had a tattoo, that she would dump them on the spot, because she knows that she can't trust anybody that has tattoos. And that's literally what she's saying to me. And she says this, and we're sitting across the table and we're having this drink, and she's telling me this very, very seriously. No, we've gone and we've done this, and we're like, there's this friendship that's kind of sort of forming, but I'm thinking, man, lady, you are so fake, and all this different stuff. But I'm really, really fake. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm giving her, you know, like, I'm not thinking she's 100% fake, because maybe she's just insecure, maybe she's just this, maybe she's just that, all this different stuff. So I'm going to give her a chance, right? I'm going to give her a chance. I'm trying to like let this get started as far as a relationship. Hey, good morning, Az, and morning, Mika. And the funny thing is that she's telling me how she cannot trust anybody with tattoos. She's getting very, very passionate about the fact that people who have tattoos are untrustworthy and stupid, immoral people. This is literally what she's telling me. They're untrustworthy, stupid, immoral people. And I looked at her, I was like, you really believe that? And she's like, yes. And the entire time, I was like, okay, well, to each his own. But I'm sitting there and my arms are out like this. So I'm going to stand up and I'll show you, because this is what she saw while she's talking to me. She literally saw this tattoo right here on my arm, and she saw this tattoo right here on my arm. Okay? So, and I have other tattoos, but my arms are outstretched to her, in front of her, and we're talking, you know, like holding onto a glass, and we're talking, and she's telling me how she could never trust, she would never let anybody touch her into her life at all, because if they had tattoos, and they're completely impure, horrible, horrible people. And I just sat there going, like, how can you say this to somebody? I mean, it's one thing if you have these feelings, but keep them to your fucking self. And especially if you're talking to somebody who obviously has tattoos, that's sitting right in front of you and basically flashing their tattoos at you. So, and then she's saying that, and I thought, you know, this is so funny, because, and I tried to make the point to her that, you know, I have coached doctors, I've coached attorneys, I've coached some of the who's who in the Dallas area, I've coached multi-millionaires, you know, Fortune 500 company, people who own, you know, like 30, 40, 50 businesses. Shit. You know, all these people that I've coached. And guess what? The majority of my clients have tattoos. They have lots of tattoos. I know incredible people out there who are like all tattooed up. My personal mentor is tatted up like no other. She's got this beautiful sleeve on her of tattoos and everything, and I'm going, and she makes multi 7 figures and runs her business and it lives this like fucking dream life, traveling all over the place, goes to Bali a couple times a year and stays there for a month, travels with her kids, does all this different stuff, impacts the world big time by helping other people, doing all this fantastic stuff. But I guess she's an immoral, untrustworthy person that you just can't trust. You know, it's just like she's a bad news. And much like some of the people that I know, these that are out there doing shit, these visionaries that are impacting the world, I guess we just can't trust them either. We should just look a certain way. And, you know, like as long as we have that little tight collar around our neck that's choking the shit out of us. Yeah, as long as we're doing that and our tie is immaculate and perfect and our business suit is Armani and it's this and it's that and our shoes don't have a speck of dirt on them because we never go anywhere or do anything with our life. Yeah, now that person we can trust. That's the person that we can trust. No. And the whole thing is that ultimately, does she really truly believe this? And I don't know if she does or not. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. But I know what she does believe because through the course of time, I never made a comment to her about the tattoos and about the, like, what the fuck are you talking about here? This is craziness. But through the course of a few years of listening to her viewpoint, her perspective is that if you are a professional, if you are trustworthy, if you are a good person, then this is how you look, act, talk, feel, communicate. You know, this is how you show up in the world. And if you are doing anything different, then that means that you are obviously not what, you know, this stuff over here. Obviously you can't be successful. Obviously you can't be, you know, have anything worthwhile to say or to share. Obviously you just don't understand anything. You must just not get life. And the reason I guess the story is coming up is really because we each have a piece of that attitude, that way of thinking, that program, somewhere inside of us. Because there is something that says, this is okay, but that's not. This is okay, but that's not. In our upbringing, in the way society has basically brought us along, whether our parents did it or not, there's always church and state, there's always, you know, school, there's always the news, there's always magazines, there's always, you know, our friends, our workplaces, all this different stuff that's constantly dictating to us how we should be and what is okay and what is not okay, and defining what these different aspects of ourselves are really about. Good morning, Amy. So to really look and see, where are you kind of falling into those beliefs, owning them, when in fact they might not be your beliefs. Maybe they're Jimmy John's from 1682. Who knows? Are you buying into a certain belief, a certain attitude, a certain structure of being, a certain role? Like if you are a dad, if you're a dad, do dads do this and not that? How do dads act? How do dads discipline their children? How do dads connect with their partner? How do dads act at work? I mean, really, truly, how do you act, and what part of you acting, because we're all acting all the time, but in that showing up, where is it truly authentically you, and where is it acting? And you're never going to be able to get away from the full-on act, because that's ego, and you don't get rid of your ego until you're dead, and then that's up in the air. I don't know about that, if you get rid of your ego then or not, who knows. But as long as we're breathing, as long as we're living, as long as our hearts are beating, we have our ego. So as long as you have your ego in place, there's going to be certain places where you're not going to be 100% authentically you, because this ego is there going, nah, 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 nah. Kind of like my mother sitting over here going, because that's what she's doing. She's like, yeah, I think I'll sip another coffee. Ho, ho, ho. Look at that. Yeah, really, I'm flipping this shit around on her in just a second. Oh, she's cheersing me now. Like, okay, yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. So, where are you not quite being authentic, and realizing that you're never going to be able to be 100% authentic, because you're always evolving, you're always growing. The ego grows with us. The ego comes about with us constantly, and it is always doing this little thing. And when we think that we don't have it when we think that we have it under control and we've basically muzzled it and taken care of it here, it's going to come up from like here, it's going to like that, or from behind us. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be vocalizing, putting in its input, and causing us to be certain ways, think certain things, do certain things, all this different stuff. So it's just more witnessing of where the ego is at, and realizing that if you go, oh no, I'm 100%, I know me, I'm totally me, bullshit. Okay, so you're not totally you ever, but the more you can step into being you by witnessing where that ego is at, by seeing where these patterns, these programs that we have purchased from society, from our upbringing, and we've purchased them, but they don't even belong to us, that we can go, you know what, I might have purchased that 20 years ago and I might have believed that that was the way it is, but I don't really have to have that any longer. I'm going to choose in this moment to not have that anymore. I'm going to react differently. I'm going to be a new me now. Talk about a rebirthing process, right? It's just like, do it. Just do it. Just rebirth yourself right now in this moment so that you can stand up and be a little bit more true to you. Get into alignment, get into your flow. That's how you create abundance. That's how shit just happens and you feel like the blessings are just overflowing. If you want the blessings to overflow, it's all about alignment. It's all about witnessing where that ego is at, keeping it intact and allowing yourself to be you, whether you have tattoos or not. And quite literally, it's like, fine, go. You know, I know somebody who's contemplating getting her nose pierced. Go get your fucking nose pierced. Yes, that was me telling you directly on Conscious Coffee. Miss, I'm not going to mention your name. Go get your nose pierced. You want it? Go do it. Stop thinking about what everybody else is thinking or doing or what their reaction is going to be. If it's something that you truly desire, if it feels good to you, if it turns you on, if it makes you, if you're just like going like, hey, that really looks fun, that really looks yummy, juicy, awesome, that's something. If your soul is pulling you toward it and you really, really want it, then there's a reason for it. And I always make the statement that what we desire desires us as well. And that truly is it. Now, I've had people say, well, I desire so-and-so, and so-and-so is not desiring me, so hey, how can you say this? All right, you might put your attention on a certain person, and they may not desire you back, or may like you in a different way than what you're liking them, but what you are actually desiring is the connection, the love, the bliss, the play, the this, the this. this. As far as, just having that. So you're desiring these things within the relationship. So it's not about that necessarily that person desiring you back, but it is the qualities and the energies, the bliss of what you're getting with that relationship, the things that that you're desiring and that actually desires you back. So maybe you're not going to get it directly with this particular relationship, but the more you're wanting it, the more you're opening yourself up to it, the more you are actually going, I really want that, and enjoying that. And you can just kind of touch in and get it, maybe not just in this relationship, but finding it in this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. The more fulfilled your life will be. And when you are operating from a full state of being, there's another hot air balloon going over my house. I can hear it. There must be a balloon coming up. Hear all the air pressure. I don't know if you didn't read my article yesterday. I wrote an article all on about being carried away, and there was these hot air balloons going over the house yesterday. So I took a picture of that. It's on the wall here of my coaching page or on my blog. But and guess what it's all about? It's all about desiring everything. I talk about like wanting the Hollywood romance, about wanting it all, desiring it all, having it all. And guess what we have to do to get it? Be ourselves. Be ourselves. The more authentically you are, the more in alignment to you are, the more you come from a fulfilled place, the more you actually draw in. Because you're already receiving, you're already finding, you're already having gratitude. You're not operating from a place of scarcity, you're operating from a place of fullness. And in order to have abundance basically attaches to abundance. There's a energy to it, so you need to magnetize that abundance by already being abundant, not lacking. And often we look at things and we want things to come to us because we don't have them. We're empty, we're depleted, we don't have it. I want that because I don't have it. Well, as long as you don't have it, you're not going to have it. Plain and simple. You're just not going to have it. So stop wanting it like you don't have it and start just having it. Just send out that energy. You know what? I have a cup of coffee. It's a little cold right now, but I have a cup of coffee. So guess what will end up happening? As soon as this conscious coffee, magically my Keurig pot will make me a new cup of coffee. And it'll just be like, whoosh, like that, and I'm going to have a hot cup of coffee. Well, if I really focused on this a lot about my coffee being cold and almost gone, the chances of all these people that I have sleeping all over my house, because I woke up this morning and there's like people on my couch, people on the floor, people in the bathroom, kids are scattered everywhere. There's like, I'm going, what the heck happened down here while I was sleeping? And oh my goodness, there's like blankets and pillows and everything everywhere. I'm like, okay, I went to bed, I had a little sex, I had this, I had that, I went to sleep. Everything was great and groovy and awesome, and I wake up and like the downstairs is like all wonky. Well, guess what? I'm sitting outside. So if I really focus on the fact that my coffee is getting down low and I'm not having that much coffee, and now what I have is cold and and I'm getting to scarcity mode, well, the chances are of everybody in the house waking up and drinking the last 5 cups of coffee that are in there just increase. Okay, they just increase. And I know that it sounds goofy, but that's the reality. But I know without a doubt that number one, their lazy asses aren't going to do that because they're still sleeping. And number 2, I got another box of coffee in the pantry. And number 3, I know that the universe is not going to leave me without my coffee this morning because I desperately need it. So, I desperately need it, but I already have it. But I want it, but it's just there. So it just is. So it's always going to just be, right? So there's just this flow. And before I go, I want to make a comment because this just came in, and so I'm going to run with this. And what it is that recently, sorry, there's going to be another beep beep that's going to be popping up on the screen here from Miss Addison Bell here in just a second. But there was this moment because Addison and I were talking, and we were talking about income and money, and I was like, holy shit, like I can't believe I made what I made this month. I don't even know where it came from. This is amazing. This is awesome. Like I'm working less. I feel like I'm doing less, and my income is just going dun, 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 dun. It's just like climbing. It's doing all these awesome things. I'm like, woohoo, like this is awesome. So I'm all caught up, and I just like I don't feel any scarcity in my finances at all, and I'm like, that's amazing. And we were talking about her finances, and she's like, yeah, I made this much, and like it's one of her best, like she had a great month as well. And I'm going, yeah, and we're like high-fiving about our finances and, you know, business and all this stuff that we got going on. And it's like, we're just like on the tip of the iceberg here of just all this fuck yes amazingness when it comes to the money aspect. But it's like our incomes are growing, and we were talking about that. And then she made the comment that, you know, good thing that it was this much because she had to spend all of it too, because it was like there was so much more demand on her money. And I kind of chuckled, and I remember making a comment of get used to it. Get used to it, because what I've realized is that the more I make, the more I spend, and that there is just this flow. And what happens and what has happened, and I'm kind of saying this for a reason here, because what happens is that it's so easy to get into scarcity mode when we have so much abundance coming to us. And it might sound crazy, but that's exactly what happens is we get all this abundance coming to us. So it's like all of a sudden our, you know, like we get an inheritance, let's say, and all this money gets dropped onto us, and we're like, woohoo. And then, you know, it's kind of like winning the lottery. Have you ever noticed that people who win the lottery lose all their money within 3 years? And they're normally just destitute, broke. They might even commit suicide. They have all this shit going on. And it's just because they don't know how to operate with abundance, because they have such a strong scarcity mentality, such a strong scarcity energy, that they have to get rid of that money as fast as possible, because they're so used to not having it, they don't know what to do with it. So what they do is they just literally just like without even trying, the money just runs away from them. So part of the whole thing that you have to get used to when you have abundance coming in and you're growing your abundance is the fact that you have to realize that as your vessel grows and you get more abundance coming in, that in order to hold the abundance and actually grow your vessel more to hold more abundance is to not try to tighten your belts and go, oh, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. Because just like if you did this to a bird, although I would like to do this to my son's birds sometimes, but if you did this to a bird, what would happen? You would end up squishing the air right out of it. You'd end up killing it. You would end up just destroying it, right? So when we do this to our abundance, and no matter what that abundance is, whether that is money or if it is happiness or sex or, you know, fantastic relationships or what have you, when we wrap that scarcity the scarcity clause, that grip around it, and we hold on to it as though it is all that we got, it's all that we're going to get, and we start to panic because it's like, oh my gosh, is that going to happen again? Is that going to happen again? How do I have it? We just start to basically squish the life right out of it. We take everything away, and that's where we go from like a high place and we crash down, because we we basically just killed it. And then we go, you see, it was just it's a flash in a pan. Well, yes, it was just a flash in a pan because you killed it. You killed it with your scarcity mentality. So let go to this scarcity. Look at, and kind of like Addison and I were talking about on money aspect, is that, and my comment to her was, get used to it. So instead of trying to go, oh my gosh, I have to hold on to this, I need to reserve this, I have to make sure that this is taken care of, this is taken care of, instead open and lean in a little bit more. Just open and lean in a little bit more and let it flow through you. Realize that you are a vessel where that abundance is flowing through. It is not stopping. If you think that the abundance is coming and going to stick to you and just stop there and then all that's it, and you're just going to collect your abundance and you don't have to like now you just cautiously get it out, become the miser, that's where you start to lose everything again. So basically you have to look at, like, God is going to keep pouring down those blessings on you as long as you keep blessing everything else. So you are just a channel for the blessings to flow through. That is it. If you want to save, do it as though this is a place for it to flow to, not I am trying to constrict. So I have my savings account. I have all these little accounts set up where I funnel money to, and I funnel money to not with the idea of that I'm trying to hold it and contain it and constrict it, but I literally look at and I call it flow. Money's flowing here, money's flowing there. Money flows to my bills, money flows to my pleasures, money flows to my savings, and money just sometimes flows wherever the fuck money flows, and we don't know where it goes, because that's what money does. So it just flows all over the place. And it's just keeping yourself in that flow of the abundance. So whether you are looking at a relationship, you're actually looking at money like I'm talking about, or something else, realize that you got to just keep it in the flow and don't try to contain it. And again, that comes back to the whole roles, right? Because a wise person, a smart person, a business-minded person would not worry about the flow, would worry about the saving, would worry about the 1, 2, 3, making sure that it's all structured, making sure that it's all aligned. Now you can do it in multiple ways. I track my money, track my dumb money a few times a week. I'm looking at my money and I know exactly how much I've made every given week, and I know exactly where my bills are at, and I know how much I need and all this different stuff. I'm not talking about not tracking, not knowing your shit. I'm not talking about not being a responsible person, If you got Quicken on your computer or something, fine, go for it. Track that shit. Know where you're at. That's all good. But it is the energy that you're doing it with. Are you sitting there going, oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm $3,000 down, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. And just this like feeling of, just like that feeling in your gut where you're just not feeling it good at all anymore, because now you looked at your money, it made you feel like shit. If looking at your money, at your abundance makes you feel like shit, it means that you're operating from a scarcity mentality. If looking at your money, you go, woohoo, like, oh my goodness, even if I start every month a few $1,000s in the hole, you could say. Like, I put out I look at what I need to achieve for the month, and then I look at what is coming in, what is just flowing in that I already know about, and I do opportunity, like possibility things in the middle of my flow chart. I look at the possibilities as to the things that could bring in money, and then at the end I look at my bottom dollar, basically. So I have these things on the side where these are the things that where my money's flowing out, where my money's flowing in that I know about, and the possibilities of where my money can flow in. And I look at all of those, and then at the end, taking out the possibilities, just taking out where it's flowing out to and what's flowing in, I normally end up anywhere from $2,000 to $7,000 in the hole. Literally, $2,000 to $7,000 in a hole. I go like, okay, so let's just take the 7, right? Because I like 7 better than 2. So let's just say it. So I look at it and I go, okay, I'm $7,000 in a hole. This is how much I need. And then I look at my possibilities, at the things that are out there, where I can open up to, where I can get excited about. I start that creative brainstorming, like, what could I do? What kind of cool things? Or maybe there's this, maybe there's that. And then I get into my journal, and I daily journal out my shit, and I command what I want to have happen in the month. So if I want to make $20,000 in a month, I'm writing every single day. I don't know how, but it just is that I make, multi six figures for the year. I don't know how, but it just is that I make $20,000 this month. Quite literally, like I'm writing this stuff out every single day. And guess what happens? Guess what happens? It just starts to flow. It just starts to flow because it's all focused in on not the how-tos, not the 1, 2, 3s, not the constriction, not the scarcity mindset of how am I going to get this, but on I don't know how. I'm opening it up to God. I'm letting God bring it to me, and I'm just the vessel that it's just flowing through. That's all that's happening. Just the vessel that's just flowing through. And then the really beautiful, magical thing about that is that it just comes. It just comes. It happens to just always be there. All my needs are always taken care of. I always have more than enough with plenty left over. I love that. I had a pastor years ago, Pastor Jack Holt up in Kent, Washington, and that was his statement. More than enough with plenty left over. And back then in my 20s, I did not grasp what he was fully saying. And now, in my 40s, I go, man was a fucking genius. I love him. So, like, I want to move back to Kent just that I can go to his church if he's still around. But his whole message was more than enough with plenty left over. So I'm going to just steal that from him because I use it all the time. And I think if you say it like 3 times, it's yours or something. So it's mine now. Okay? So it's mine. Sorry, Pastor Jack. All right. Totally take it there. Even though he wrote a book titled that, we're going to ignore that. So it really is just more than enough with plenty left over. And it is that mindset of more than enough with plenty left over that you have to get into, because if you have that, that is an abundance mindset. It truly is an abundance mindset of that you're always taken care of. There always is enough.
She's trying to dig a hole in them.
Now my neighbor dog is trying to break through the fence. So, no, it's not my own dog. My mom thinks it's my own dog. My dog's just standing there looking at the fence like a crazy dog, whining. And the puppy next door is going... Anyway, so that abundance mindset. Welcome to my backyard at 7:30 in the morning. So, yeah. So it really is just getting into that mindset of having just that more than enough with plenty left over and opening up to it and just being that vessel so that things can flow through. Make sure that you're not restricting. If you feel like you are tightening, if you feel like you're pulling in, if you have fear, if you have doubt, if you have frustration, anger, anxiety around something that you are trying to, manifest into your life or trying to maintain in your life that you want to keep there, if you feel yourself doing this, realize that what you're doing is you're actually killing it and you're pushing it away. Okay, so that's how you get rid of things in your life, is to tighten around them. If you want them to stay, you open up to them. Okay, so you open. In our opening, we bring more good shit into our lives. In our constriction, we squish it, kill it, and push it away. Okay, so plain and simple. And a lot of that has to do with the roles that you're playing. So if you are not in alignment to who you are, if you're not being you, if you are acting a certain way because mommy and daddy told you to, or because your husband or your wife or your boss or your brother or your sister or your best friend or church or fucking news told you that you need, or the catalog that you're looking at, the magazine, the billboard, you get where I'm going with this. If life tells you, all these people out there, because that's what it is, all the people tell you that you need to be a certain way, just ask yourself, whose life is this? Who are you living your life for? Are you living your life for them or for you? Ultimately, at the end of the day, at the end of your life, who is the one who is going to be laying there on their deathbed feeling everything that you're going to be feeling? Are you going to be able to lay there and say, I lived my life 100%. I don't have any regrets. There is nothing that I regret. I was full on 100%. I rocked the shit every single day of my life. I did everything that I wanted to do. I really breathed it in. I enjoyed my life. Or are you going to go, well, I lived my life for everybody else, and I did everything that everybody wanted, and here I am. And I wish I had done blah, 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 blah. I wish I had loved more. I wish I had traveled more. I wish I had explored more. I wish I had taken more risks. I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. I wish I had opened up more. I wish. So are you going to go out of this world wishing that you had done something else? Or are you going to go out of this world going, yeah, that was a fucking amazing life? So I hope that you choose the latter of those. And as always, I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Really seriously, I will catch you tomorrow morning around 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:15, a normal schedule. But hey, it was the 4th of July. We were all up late. I hope everybody had a fantastic 4th. I love you guys. Check out the links that are the link that is pinned on here, definitely. And as always, stop existing and start living. Catch you guys tomorrow. Bye.